I touched it. The first hint I had that something wasn't right when I felt more tired than normal. I started getting pains in my legs, which became excruciating. I thought it was a trapped nerve and took some paracetamol, but the doctor later told me the virus had gone directly into my muscles. I had a cough, but it wasn't persistent, which people think is always the sign. I was bedbound for over a week. Then the fever set in. It felt like my body was on fire, and I was getting splitting headaches. I couldn't eat anything. I was vomiting and absolutely wringing wet with sweat. And then my breathing started to get more difficult. I'm asthmatic, and it really worried me. Within a few more days, I was slipping in and out of consciousness, and I have a vague recollections of my 15-year-old son telling me he'd called 911. The paramedics arrived, and I remembered one saying, "She's very poorly. We need to bring her in." He put an oxygen mask on me and carried me out to the vehicle. One of my kids had called my mother too, and she was there watching. That was one of the hardest things, seeing the look of helplessness on her face. But she couldn't come close because she has a heart condition and is at high risk if she catches the virus. When we arrived at the hospital, we were in a queue of ambulances just waiting to offload patients. I was lying there for about 3 hours until it was our turn. The nurse said, "I have to swab you for COVID-19." He stuck the swab stick so far down the back of my throat that I was retching. And then, just as I was recovering, he said, "Now I have to do it up to your nostrils." That was followed by a rough blood test and a chest x-ray. I was exhausted. I felt famine. All I could think was, what the hell is going on? I remember another nurse coming over and telling me, "You've got a pneumonia and you'll have to be on oxygen 24/7." At one point, I felt the most almighty pain in my chest, like I was being compressed with slabs of concrete. They told me it was the pneumonia attacking my lungs, and they gave me a shot of morphine. By the time the pain subsided, I was almost delirious. There were only 4 beds in my bay, and everyone in there had tested positive for COVID-19 and had an underlying health issue. I don't remember much of the first few days, just nurses coming in and out, and cleaners coming in to disinfect everything. Most of the noise was from me ringing the bell and gasping for drinks of water. One night, I saw a man in what was meant to be our all-female ward. I rang the bell and the nurse came and explained he was the son of the woman in the bed opposite me, and that she was an end-of-life patient. That was when I started hallucinating. I was getting flashbacks of conversations I've had in my life and people I'd met. At one point, I thought, am I alive or dead? Do these flashbacks mean I'm transitioning to death? Then all of a sudden, it was the early hours. I heard a male nurse at the door says, "She's gone." The poor woman opposite me had died. I waited for them to come in and remove her body, but nothing happened. That lady's body was there for what seems like hours before they eventually came in. They were cleaning it and they were wrapping it in plastics like packaging. Then I heard them put her in a body bag, zip it up and say, "On the count of three. 1, 2, 3." The noise of that body coming into contact with the metal trolley. That sounds you don't forget. By daytime, I was just looking at an empty bed. The day before, I'd been looking at somebody, and now the bed was empty. That thought really affected me. I started watching the woman in the bed diagonal to me. She slipped into a coma, and I watched her daughter come and said desperately, "Mom, it's me." Mom, it's me. And it was pitiful because the woman was already gone. It sounds awful, but I was waiting for her for 2 nights to actually die, which was very distressing. I had fought to stay alive. After being almost ready to give up at the start, I had told myself, no, I've got to carry on. I'm not ready to die, not just for me, but for my kids and my family and friends. My sister Lorraine and my brother Richard had texted me constantly with love and support, and that gave me the will to fight it. Unfortunately, the comatose woman died after 2 days. What saved my life, perhaps, was one male nurse who said to me, if the doctor says you're medically fit to go home, go. Don't make the mistakes of staying in hospital because you feel a bit weak. Believe me, I've seen it on this ward. Every patient who's been told by doctors you can go home and have argued saying they don't feel 100% and just one more night in hospital. Every one of them has contracted a secondary illness because this is a high risk COVID ward and they've all died. That same day, they tested my blood oxygen saturation level and I scrapped by. The doctor said, you've just made it. I'm happy to discharge you. I was so excited I was going home. It was freezing outside. I only had a hospital gown and flip-flops on, but I could feel the air on my face and I was elated. I don't know the name of the female ambulance driver, but she was an angel. She had started her shift at 6 o'clock and she was picking me up at 20. She'd done an 18-hour day. I'm bedbound for the next few weeks, and the doctor said it could take 3 to 6 months to get over the pneumonia. Since leaving hospital, my mother has been my lifeline, leaving me food parcel on my doorstep. I touch death, and I'm very lucky to be alive. What I'm now looking forward to is appreciating nature. You realize material things don't matter. When I get outside, I want to breathe the air, look at birds, and enjoy the natural beauty of the world. I've been given a second chance.